Hey there, Tom here from the Run Testers, and welcome to the monthly Run Testers podcast, where we talk about lots of things to do with the world of running, from the latest races, how our training is going, as well as loads and loads of kit that we've tested over the past month. We'll also have guests on occasionally, like experts in the world of running kit, as well as athletes talking about their training and the kit that they use to do that. You'll also get some interesting but slightly tenuous running facts peppered throughout the podcast as well. This episode of the Run Testers podcast is brought to you by our friends over at SportsShoes. Now, if you haven't heard of SportsShoes, and you probably have, they have a massive range of shoes and kit, including the latest items out, as well as lots of older kit that you can normally get at a cheaper price. So well worth a look at the stuff that they've got available. You can also use the code TESTERS10 to get a 10% off your orders when you're buying stuff from SportsShoes. Right then, let's jump into the podcast. Okay, guys, the second Run Tester podcast. And we've got Jane in this time. How are we all doing? Hello, Jane.
Hello. All good.
Hello.
Hello. So as always with the podcast, we're going to start with a little bit of an update on all the running that we've been up to. Let's start with Nick. Nick, you always do the most running. What are you up to at the moment?
Still marathon training, still pumping out the miles, lots of long runs. I did do a race though. I did the Essex Champs 10k over 10k, and I was sixth or seventh. I was seventh, but all the results say I'm sixth, and we have no idea why a guy's been deleted randomly from the results. So I'll take it.
Take it. Take it. You've got.
He will take it. He always takes it.
But even better, what we took was Orion were third team on the day, by virtue of the fact that the team that should have won the overall Essex Championships, one of their runners was only 15, so didn't count. That'll teach him.
Was he good?
He's very good. He came out with us at the start. He did fall off a bit, but he is 15, so he was still top 10, I think. But yeah, it doesn't count. It's unfair. He's too young. I respect that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you'll take it, won't you?
Always.
Yeah. So how was that race then? Apart from the fact that you cheated a place.
It's good. I was in the Alphafly 2 because I'm training for all the racing at the moment, so I wanted a cushy carbon shoe to try and run fast while still protecting the legs. I ran pretty quick. I was pretty pleased. I think it was just over 33 mins, and it was hot and a bit hilly, but yeah, I don't know, I've got a lot of super shoe anxiety about the marathon to come, and I really want to decide which one I'm going to pick. So I did a long run in the Vaporfly. I want to use the Alphafly. I want to get a fresh pair of Alphafly 1s somehow and use them as well. So I'm getting a lot of shoe anxiety. It's going to last for the whole summer, so expect me to talk about that a lot for the next few months.
Well, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do what Tom did to me and text you the night before and go, interesting.
I don't think...
Whatever shoe you pick.
Nick won't care. He won't listen to any of my advice on shoes.
No, certainly not. I've seen your reviews.
And it was the right choice for you, Jade. So
it was. I take it all back.
Worked out well. So Alphafly 2 still delivering the goods for you, Nick?
Yeah, it was great in that race. I don't know, it's part of me wondering if I don't, because it is obviously part of the reason it got updated was to make it more accessible to lots of people, a bit more stable, a bit less narrow and all that. But I didn't need any of the extra stability or anything, so I'm wondering if maybe the first version will suit me even better because it's a bit lighter. But these are all just doubts that I don't need to talk. I don't need indulging in my obsessions and my doubts. Let's move on.
I'm enjoying indulging you in these doubts. I'm going to start doing this more often. All right then, let's let Nick calm down a bit now. Jane, what have you been up to? Are you actually training for anything at the moment?
Well, I have a spot in London. Oh, people are going to hate me. I have a spot in London. I got in on the Chicago ballot and I've been offered a spot in New York. What do I do? Do I do all of them? Do I do none of them? I was going to do Chicago, but I haven't booked any flights and now they're really expensive. So I'm training for a marathon. I just don't know which one.
Wow.
Is my answer. Yeah, and they've all got different start dates. So what we come in on in a plan is anyone's guess. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We've got weeks to decide, right?
Well, does the marathon that you eventually do affect how you're going to want to train, or is it just
Nah. I'm here for the joy of running. Here just to have a great time.
What you were veering towards? What would you most like to do?
I think New York, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be New York.
New York's well after London, isn't it?
November.
Is it though? Is it like 3 weeks after?
You're running for joy, it's fine.
Yeah, true. That's
I'm
true.
doing-
It's
I'm
true.
in London back to back, and I'm not running for any joy.
I know, but you're a maniac. I think I'm over this whole. This probably isn't a really run tester opinion. I imagine loads of people that listen to this are very into running for times, but I'm kind of over it, to be honest. I'm a bit sick of that whole like Instagram mentality where you've got to get quicker every race. So running for
Instagram mentality. It's the power of 10 mentality, Jane.
It's just the running fast mentality.
it's just the man running mentality, isn't it? So I'm over it. I'm over it. Not to gender stereotype. That's really wrong of me, actually. It's just that like toxic. Every run you do has to be quicker than the last. Not for me. Not for me. So I might be quicker. I might not be quicker. I might do 2. I might do none. I don't know. This is me. This is me at 30. Yeah, this is me. Turn 30. Don't care anymore.
Yeah, you'll
London and New
start.
York both have amazing atmospheres, at least, so you can choose on that.
Yeah.
You'll start caring a bit more when you get to my age, Jane. When you start to get worried that you're not going to be able to get your times anymore. I'm reaching my peak at the moment, and it's worrying.
No, I'm there. I peaked at 29. I'm done now.
Well, I thought I did.
I'm just done now.
Tom's in his
Just
most
chilling.
intense training ever.
Yeah, what you're doing Chicago, right, Tom?
Me and Mike are both doing Chicago, and we're both doing the same training plan. So we're using One Track Club, which you may have heard of. You guys,
Yeah,
have
that's
probably
Fletch,
heard.
isn't it?
That's Fletch, yeah. So yeah, we're doing the Steph Twell marathon training plan. It's actually for London, but you can do it for Chicago because it's like the week after, isn't it? So we're training for that. It's pretty tough. It's pretty tough. It's for a man that has gone from, I think the most training I've ever done for a marathon is a couple of long runs along with my normal training. So yeah, this is like, I think we've done 2.5 weeks now, and it's pretty intense. Mainly like 6 days. Well, it's basically all week if you include all of the mobility and stretching and stuff like that. But yeah, my mileage is shot up higher than it has been for a very long time.
Are you over the calf niggle?
Seems okay. Seems okay. I can still feel something there, but yeah, I've been doing my calf raises every day and my stretching and stuff. So hopefully I've managed to get by it.
Yeah.
I'm loving Tom being on a full proper training plan because it's nice to see the whining in the group about another run.
Yeah. It's actually, I'm finding it quite hard. The just fitting it in the runs, like, and also when you're doing your own training plan. I say your own training plan. When I'm training for a marathon and I'm just going out and doing a run, I normally base it around like I've got an hour for lunch or I've got an hour until I've got to be back for dinner or something like that. But now, like every run just seems to be like an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes because you've got to fit in all the other bits as well, like the warm up, and cool down, and the bits like that. So yeah, finding it really hard to fit it all in.
Welcome to my world, Tom.
Yeah,
I feel like we've swapped training plan, Tom. This is what I used to do, and now I'm like, meh, do a long run, see what happens. So maybe the Tom approach is the way to go. Maybe I'll PB at whatever I run because I'm
get quite drunk.
You've got to do it for a long time, Jane.
I'll get really drunk and I'll just be really calm and I'll just be like, meh. Or what you told me your approach was to go out really, really hard and just hang on. So I'll just do that.
That's the best approach. I think it's widely regarded, and Nick will probably agree to this, the best approach for any race.
Very much. Also, I do like how much we're all whining, complaining. Marathon's not sure, and Kieran's run a marathon a day for 31 days.
Yeah,
at this point.
bloody hell.
Oh yeah, we're supposed to do a bit of an update on Kieran to anyone who's listening. Who I think everyone who's listening is probably knows what Kieran's doing, but his Danube run, which is 2,000 miles.
2,000 miles. I don't know. He seemed quite sketchy on the distance. So I don't know how.
Yeah.
But
he did work it out, but.
Yeah, he told us yesterday that he's at about 800 miles now, and he's almost halfway. So that sort of tallies up. He's probably marked that a little bit higher. But so he's at 800 miles, and I think he says he's going to be through Croatia. He's in Serbia at the moment, and then he's going to be in Croatia soon, and then hopefully in the next 4 days he'll be done those and moves on to the next country. Not sure what it is.
If you go follow him on, what is it, Man v Miles on Instagram, you can run with him. I think he's very keen. If you're in those areas, go and find him because I think he will help him a lot.
Yeah, he'd be very happy if you joined him for a run. And he seems quite keen on people buying a beer for him.
Yeah, maybe buy him some new kit or some socks or something. Because when's he washing? When's he washing? He said to me he wasn't going to wash.
He has done a bit of washing. I've seen him post a bit about when he goes to... He quite enjoys going to the laundrette, I think. But I did see his socks had perished today.
Yeah, I saw that. And I've seen that he hates dogs. So, yeah, I mean, I'm immediately unfollowing him. No, I'm joking. I don't
think he hates all dogs. It's just the ones that are trying to kill him.
Just the ones that are trying to give him rabies. But yeah, he's doing well.
Yes. All right, well, we've done our chat about what we've been up to. I think it's time for the high point of the podcast, the running facts.
Here we go, the facts.
Here we go.
And as always, I should point out that I have not verified these in any way. So if they are inaccurate or nonsense, don't blame me.
I mean, I've seen some of the ones coming up and they are definitely nonsense, but I'm excited.
Yeah, well, this one's a particularly interesting one. So apparently Edison Pina, who was one of the Chilean miners in the incident in 2010, apparently trained for his first marathon whilst being trapped in the mine. So apparently he ran 6 miles a day in the mine and then completed the New York Marathon less than a month after being rescued from the mine. So what do you think of that, Nick?
That can't be right.
I mean, were they running low on supplies? Was he carb loading? I don't. That doesn't sound right, Tom.
Wasn't there not enough air? There wasn't enough air. How could he run?
Look, don't shoot the messenger. If anyone wants to contact us and let us know that is indeed nonsense, then we're all ears. But another one of those.
One each week should be like verifiable nonsense. It's just like a little.
Yeah, how long was the mine? I'm so baffled. Someone needs to get in touch and tell us.
Somebody can easily verify this for us.
It just seems an unlikely.
6 miles. What? I guess you'd have to do laps, maybe.
Out and back. The mines go a long way, James. Some of those mines are very, very long.
Out and back.
Yeah. I imagined it'd be a really small one, and it'd just be annoying everyone the whole time.
Although, Nick, I think if we were all trapped in a mine, you would try and carry on training, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, Nick would.
Yeah.
He would be annoying. He'd be doing intervals and all sorts. He'd be.
Yeah, we'd kill.
Fantastic.
We would kill you first, and you would be gone first because that would be unbearable, wouldn't it?
Would be the running guy or the guy who kept talking about the dog? But who would be going first?
That's true.
That's true.
So another one of those fantastic facts coming up very soon. Okay, so July there's been a few things happening over July in the world of running. We've had World Athletics obviously going on. Lots of people talking about the World Athletics. Tamarat Tola apparently won the marathon, but what shoe was he wearing, Nick?
I was in the Adios Pro 2. I was watching this live on a few events. That was a good time for us here. And I was going, it's one of those ones where I think it's quite common actually with athletes. They use the previous generation shoe, especially if it's just been launched. So obviously the Adios Pro 3 came out a few months ago, but he was in the Adios Pro 2, which, it's a lighter shoe. There's maybe a case here that the pros might prefer it. It's a little bit less stable than the new one, but they obviously don't need much stability as pros. But often I think there's a lot of superstition. If you spend your whole year training in one shoe, then you end up using that shoe for the actual marathon. I think it was the same. The Alphafly 1 was used much more than the Alphafly 2 at the race. There's actually also sometimes a question of availability with elite athletes, which I think is hard to believe sometimes, but we know, like, we've spoken to elite athletes who can't get the latest shoes sometimes. They're not actually going their way, unless you're like the top elite, like Kipchoge. Obviously, he's getting them. But so there is a bit of accessibility. But yeah, I guess it must have just been I've trained in the Adios Pro 2. I love it. And obviously, the Vaporfly was the most popular option all round, even though that's not a new shoe. So it's a fair amount of superstition among elites. But yeah, it was interesting to see that. I thought that there was no Adios Pro 3s up on the top there. It was the Adios Pro 2.
Would you have gone for the 3 or the 2, Nick?
Oh, for a marathon, I'd probably lean the 3 just because I have some slight forefoot discomfort in the 2 over about 15 miles I found in runs. And the 3 is very, very comfortable. And since I'd been running about 30 minutes behind all the people in the race, it might have been good to have a nice, comfortable shoe.
Yes. All right. Well, more race news. We've got Ailish McColgan is making her marathon debut at London this year, which is exciting.
What time do we think? What do we think she'll do?
I think she can be very quick if she doesn't get injured. First big build up, obviously, I reckon she'll be sub 220 comfortably, and I wouldn't be surprised if she's after Paula's record at some point quite soon. British record, that is.
That'll be exciting. Very exciting. Okay,
Got
so
an outrageous running style, though. I don't know. It obviously looks fantastic. It's very flowing. It's very graceful. But man, it makes my Achilles wince when I see her run. I wonder if she's going to get injured.
yeah, most people wince at your running style, don't they?
Yeah, but it's bulletproof because I just shuffle it. If you take that many steps, you basically can't get injured because you're very rarely in the air.
All right. Well, from more conventional racing to ridiculous ultra marathons, Kieran would be our usual person to chat about this, but the Badwater 135 has just happened. You know anything about this race, you guys? Jane, you must know. You must have written about this race a few times.
Yeah, I've written about it. It doesn't sound my cup of tea, but Kieran, why isn't Kieran doing that? Why is he doing this Danube thing? Why hasn't he done that?
I think I've run stretches of that course actually on a press trip once through Death Valley. It's hot, certainly hot. It was hot after about.
There's a lot of elevation as well, though, isn't there?
Yeah, so early on you don't do too much. I think that's obviously coming out of the valley. I guess is where it's loads of elevation, and you go quite high up, some mountains. But early on, you're very low. You're at the lowest point, I guess, like it's below sea level or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
So and it is like I think it was a cloudy day there when I was there, and it was still into the 40 degrees, and it didn't feel very good to run in. I won't lie.
Well, it says in my notes that it could go up to 54 degrees Celsius.
Ouch.
Which is similar to the training that we've been doing over the past week.
We're ready.
In the UK. Yeah. A lot of people doing park runs in similar conditions. Cool. So that was won by Yoshihiko Ishikawa from Japan. He did it 23 hours, 8 minutes and 20 seconds, which sounds ridiculous. And Ashley Paulson did it in 24 hours, 9 minutes and 34 seconds. So
a big shout out to Debbie Martins-Consani, who's a very cool runner from Scotland. And I think it's extra hard if you're from Scotland to go run that race because
you're not used to that. You're not a climate.
You're not used to the sun, are you? You live there.
Nice.
Yeah, she did it pretty well.
Cool. Okay, and then the only other thing I've got on here for things happening is a shoe, an interesting shoe, which we'll talk about a little bit later. The New Balance Supercomp Trainer, which is popping up quite a bit in the news at the moment. Jane, you've not got this, have you?
I've not, but the second Nick put it on his Instagram, I was like, that shoe is made for me. So why have you got it? It's 100% a Jane shoe. Yeah. I will be emailing New Balance as soon as I finish this podcast and getting it. It looks perfect for me.
You're going to be a lot taller, for one. That's exciting.
Exactly. Love a platform. Love a platform.
It's basically the Invincible Plus. It's absolutely absurd, this shoe.
How did it compare to my all-time favourite shoe in the world?
It's bouncier. It's like the only softer and bouncier shoe. It's so soft and bouncy.
I'm glad we're recording, so you'll have that intake of breath on video as well as recorded.
Into our first run review, Jane's audible guard. It's a lunatic.
I can't wait.
Massive cutout.
We'll talk a little bit more about this in the different gear section of the podcast. But I'll just do another running fact. I know you're desperate for another.
Really important.
I'm waiting.
This is another interesting one, which again, not verified in any way. Apparently, you can be up to half an inch shorter after you run a marathon, as the discs in your back actually leak water and become shorter under the repetitive strain of around 50,000 steps.
I've heard this,
but it goes back to normal afterwards. So not a major
all the fluid
issue.
Back in your spine.
Yeah, I've never heard. It sounds like quite a lot.
Yeah.
How much was it? An inch?
Half an inch.
Half an inch. I could believe that.
Yeah, I imagine it's because people are stooping afterwards and they're not walking properly. Everyone just looks a little bit shorter.
Well, I'm very quickly over an inch shorter after a marathon. I take off a pair of super shoes. So similar
not sure that's what the fact is about. I think that'd be not quite an interesting fact. If you take your shoes off, you're shorter.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a wonderful fact there. Another one of those coming up later. Okay, so let's delve into some kit, guys. We're into the different gear section of the podcast where we talk about lots of the stuff that we've been testing over the past month. And there's been some interesting things that we've all had access to over the past month. We've been doing a lot of running, a lot of trying out new running shoes. Let's start with probably the biggest shoe and the one that we all know quite a bit about, the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. Jane, this is a Jane shoe, I presume.
100%. I absolutely loved it. Do you know what? I've never the Pro 2. I didn't get it. Like, I remember Kieran talking about it, and I was like, "You're mad! It's awful." I found it really unstable. Really, like, just there wasn't anything to it. And when the Pro 3 arrived, I thought, one, I like it because it's pink, which I know is, really awful of me, isn't it, to say that? But I thought, this looks good, and I love it. Absolutely love it. I think I would have to choose between that and the Vaporfly now for a marathon.
Ooh.
I think it's absolutely brilliant. But am I alone in that? I haven't heard your.
That's a terrible shoe. No, no, you're not alone. I think we're massive fans of the Pro 3 all round. I think it's
fantastic.
Extraordinary. I've never seen such a comprehensively successful update to a shoe. I liked the Pro 2. I thought it was fun. If you're running well, it was really nice roll to it. It was a bit firm at times, but I thought it was really good. And this is just, better. It's softer, bouncier, lighter, better upper, better outsole even. It's even got more traction. It's just, it's phenomenal. And I think it's going right up there for me. I think I like it more than any other shoes not made by Nike for sure. It's just whether it would actually take on the Nikes is the question. And it's actually one of the cheaper ones. It's, £210 is not cheap, but it's cheaper than most other ones. And I'd buy it ahead of the Metaspeed shoes. And it's pretty awesome. It's the same price as this, with a trainer. So that's pretty mad. Yeah. I think the only fault I've heard about it is that pink upper stained socks. So don't wear white socks with it.
Don't wear your white socks with it. I think I said that, didn't I, in the video? It was disappointing if you wear white socks.
That video's not actually... Oh, that video should be up by the time this podcast goes out. So, yeah.
Yeah, don't wear white socks with it. Wear pink socks or blue socks or any other colour. But they did... Do you know what? It did come out in the wash. So, no problems here.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I actually think... I was massively surprised because I really didn't like the Pro 2, just didn't enjoy it at all. Just far too firm. I did a race in it. Just by the end of it, I just didn't like that in one bit. But yeah, so I wasn't really expecting a lot with the Pro 3. And then as soon as I tried it, I was like, what is this shoe? It's like it's almost like they shouldn't have called it the Pro 3. They should have called it something else because it's not the successor to the Pro 2. It's like a completely different shoe. And I'm thinking that I'm going to use that for Chicago at the moment. That's my current top shoe for Chicago. I'm almost, ever since you told me that my calf problems might be slightly due to the Vaporfly, Nick, I've been quite wary about wearing the Vaporfly. So I've been desperate for a shoe to come along that I like as much.
Did I say that? Oh, I didn't. I was probably just trying to get in your head. I don't believe it.
Well, it kind of worked because the 3 times I've been quite badly injured, I was wearing the Vaporfly in races.
Oh, I probably just said maybe.
Because
check that.
Bilbao I didn't, and that was Alphafly. And every time I've raced
in... How did it feel, Tom, when Nick got into your head about a shoe?
Nick didn't get into my head about a shoe. He just, for once, said something that was actually sage. And I listened to it.
Wow, what a damning verdict on my life. Once I said something sage. All I say is sage.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure about that. But
on the Endorphin, have you moved on? But there's like another one coming, the Endorphin Elite next year.
I did not
Which
know
I think we saw someone reminded me this day, some mad leaks of it. I think it's like a decoupled. It looks even bigger and madder, so maybe that'll be even more fun.
Wow. If it's elite, does that sound like it's going to be focusing on more lightweight?
It just looks... Again, you're right when you say to them, they shouldn't be using the Endorphin line name on it almost, because that also looks completely different to everything else, but it'd be a bit of fun, wouldn't it?
All right, well, big thumbs up to the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, which, and I've said it many times, I think this is Saucony's year. I think they've really pulled it out of the bag, and every shoe that I try from them is just great. But let's move on from Saucony for now and talk about perhaps a less interesting shoe, but not one that's any less popular over its history. The Nike Zoomfly 5. Now, Nick, you're the only one who's tested this, aren't you?
Yeah, I always find it one of the most interesting shoe lines going because it started off pretty exciting. It was the other shoe to the Vaporfly, and then they kind of sold a lot of shoes based on that, and had a carbon plate in the second edition, and then it was quite good, and then it's just become like one of the most wide. A lot of people just don't like the shoe, and it's just become heavier and heavier and heavier and less exciting. And it's basically the whole time everyone's been going, well, it's an easy fix for Nike because they got rid of the Pegasus Turbo, everyone's favorite shoe in the world, and kept the Zoomfly 5 instead. and everyone said, well, okay, just put Zoom X foam in the Zoomfly 5 with a plate. It will be and make it a bit more stable than the Vaporfly, and you've got a fantastic shoe, an amazing training shoe. And they finally added Zoom X foam to the shoe this year, and they also added another foam, and it's now gone up in weight even further. And I don't know why it's quite so popular. It's not a running shoe geek shoe, basically, because anyone who knows a lot about shoes would just buy the Endorphin Speed or so lots of other plated training shoes, because it's not at all fast. It's very heavy. I've enjoyed it for a couple of easy runs, but there are a lot of shoes you can use for easy runs, and I just don't get it as a shoe line. I have to say, a lot of people, if you just try it in isolation, it's probably quite good. But I think they're just selling a lot on the idea that it's a plated shoe, but it's much cheaper than the Vaporfly. But it's nothing like those shoes. It's much more akin to the Hoka Bondi X, something like that, for example. Yeah. And I used the New Balance Supercomp trainer either side of the Zoom. Obviously, it's a bit unfair because this has got an illegally high stack, but they're both training shoes. And I had to pull the Zoomfly on today instead of this, and I was just going like, I don't want to pull this on ahead of the Supercomp. This is so much bouncier, more exciting, lively, and despite the fact it's this big, is the same weight or slightly lighter than the Zoomfly. Yeah, here's a fun running fact, actually. The Zoomfly, my two shoes, 20-gram difference in weight across the two shoes. Got absolutely no idea what's happening there. I'd love to know how the
left and the right.
Yeah, 20 grams difference. Like almost 10% is not almost 10% because it's such a heavy shoe, but a lot of percent for difference. I often choose always slightly different amounts, obviously, and the Alphafly was about 5-7 grams difference, but 20 grams is mad, right?
Yeah. Are you sure they're the same size?
I didn't actually check, but yeah, they fit my feet the same way.
Have not you just trapped a really big rock in the?
Yeah, you sure there's not stuck in them?
I actually checked out of the box that I hadn't just left, loads of the stuff they pack inside shoes. I kept checking for that. I was going, well, no, Nick, you've worn these shoes, so you'd have noticed if that was in there. Bizarre line. It's not popular.
I remember it was an exciting line when the only shoe that existed was the Vaporfly, the only carbon plate shoe, and then you had the Zoomfly, because nobody could have, most people wouldn't buy the Vaporfly because it was so expensive in comparison, and so they'd buy the Zoomfly. But the last one I tried was the Zoomfly 3, and I didn't mind it, but I didn't by that point there were just better shoes out that were at the same price or cheaper.
Well,
I think I wore it. I think I wore the 2 maybe for the Berlin Marathon. I think years ago, wasn't it? I think it was
interesting.
I know. I make interesting decisions, don't I, for a race? I liked it. I was a big fan. I haven't tried it since, so this is a boring point for what we're talking about. But good. I liked it. The 2
was the last good one, I'd say.
Was that the one? Because Nick, you were on that trip, weren't you? The San Moritz trip. Whatever one we got in that one, I wore that for Berlin.
We got the 3 there.
I wore the 3. I wore the 3 to Berlin.
2 was weird because they changed it to React foam in the midsole, but it had a plate, because the first one didn't have a plate. It didn't have a carbon plate anyway, and I used it for a half. I loved it. It was a lightweight, really tippy racing shoe, and at the time, it was just I can't get it. You couldn't get the Vaporfly. Even if you wanted to spend the money, you couldn't buy the Vaporfly. It was never in stock. And then the 2 was really bottom heavy, but still quite light overall. It's just a really lightweight upper and a massive stack of quite heavy foam, so it was a bit weird on the foot, but it was still a good shoe. And then it's just got bit worse and worse and worse. But there was a time I remember thinking, I had the Zoomfly to test. I went, okay, brilliant. I don't need to worry about the Vaporfly. I've got my marathon racing shoe here. You could consider it in that bracket. And now it's, it's the worst, the slowest of all the carbon plate, except maybe the Hoka Bondi X. That is a worse shoe. But yeah,
it's not a shoe.
All right, that's plenty on the Zoomfly 5. Let's talk about there's a brand that we don't normally talk about very often on the run testers, because it's not a brand that really, and it does running stuff, but it's not, perhaps not safe to say it's not the most exciting running stuff when it comes to shoes and things like that. But Lululemon, the Charge Feel and Rest Feel releases. I don't know hardly anything about this, Jane, so you hit us. What is this?
They are, the Charge Feel is, they launched the Bliss Feel, which is a running shoe. This is a slightly strange idea where it's like people don't want to buy a running shoe and a shoe to wear to the gym, so we're going to make both. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about it. It's basically the same as the running shoe, but they've taken foam out of the heel for this shoe, because if you're obviously wearing a shoe in the gym, you want to be more grounded. I just don't know.
This is the Charge Feel.
And the rest feel is a slider, which I love. Love the slider. Here for a slider. Absolutely love a slider, don't I? But I'm just not sure. I'm not sure what brands think people want on the market. Do you know what I mean? I don't know where. I don't know. I think Lululemon had such potential to make such great shoes because they kind of. Do you know what I mean they know what they're doing with kit? But I'm a bit like, what is this shoe for? But that is my first impression of it, and I might be wrong. I might love it in a few weeks, but right now I'm a bit like,
It's
doing?
becoming a bit of a common thing these days, isn't it? We had the Hoka Kawana that came out, which was meant to be like a gym shoe that can be used for running. But in reality, there's a lot of just all right running shoes that can be used for the gym. That crossover it's not.
Yeah, I don't think it's a gap. I don't think it's what we're all missing. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like, damn, I can't wear my Pegasus to the gym today. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't think it's a thing.
It also depends on, like, gym is such a vague term. Like, just saying gym, is it like what you're doing in the gym? That's the important bit, really. Are you weightlifting? Are you doing HIIT classes?
I think it's massively overstated on the basis that you need probably special shoes to do Olympic lifts with the barbell. But if you're going in and picking up your 10-kilo kettlebell like I am, I can do it in any shoes. I can do it in the sliders. I'll take the Lululemon sliders, mate.
Yeah, take them. Honestly, buy them if you can. Buy them because they are great. They're like walking on a cloud. But the other shoes, I'm not sure. But then maybe I'll get really into the gym and I'll find a shoe. I'll realize what I've been missing. But right now, I'm a bit like, why are brands doing this? Why have they invented this thing that isn't a problem?
Well, I go to the gym a lot and do a lot of different things at the gym. I always use like Nike Infinities, something like that. Just fine, fairly stable. It doesn't really matter. I could use Vaporflies in the gym for most things I'm doing. It'd just be a little bit wobbly. All right, let's jump into another running fact. Because Nick's getting a bit excited. I can see he's desperate for it.
I need a fact every 10 minutes or I quit the podcast. It's in my contract.
So runners who wear red clothing are more likely to win because a study proved that the colour red signals dominance and higher testosterone levels.
I believe that.
And that sounds pretty spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a big thing in football for a while where goalkeepers all were orange because it made them appear bigger to strikers in one-on-one situations. But again, it seems to have died out because it probably wasn't true, was it? But they sold a lot of kits, so.
Difficult one to test, though, isn't it?
If this fact had anything to do with turquoise, Nick would be on it. It's just red.
Teal.
Turquoise teal, I'll wear. I think that exerts quite a lot of dominance when I wear my teal headband.
Yeah, I think if it was like runners that wear headbands, Nick would be there for it. It's because you don't like red, isn't it, Nick?
Yeah, I don't like red, no, because I'm a Spurs fan, so red's not good. But in a headband news, Jay, I've told Thomas already, I'm getting a headband with built-in speakers for sleeping and running, and I could not be more excited.
He told me like he was about to tell me he was about to have another kid or something. Like the news was that big. Are you sitting down?
So you're going to sleep and run in it? You're just going to wear it 24/7?
Well, I think, I like listening to things as I drop off, and all the sleep headphones don't work because I'm a side sleeper and I think I have quite small ears. So a headband might work better, but it's washable. So I'm up for trying it for. I mean, I don't really mind wearing headphones on the run with a headband, so I don't really feel the need. It's more sleeping, but I'm excited all round. It's another headband in my life, and I'm excited.
I'm really happy for you.
You are unnecessarily excited about this headband. Okay, let's stop talking about headbands now. We'll do a special podcast on headbands at some point, which you can do on your own, Nick. Let's burn through some of the final bits we've got. So Speed 3, we've been testing this quite a lot. Jane, you tested this?
The Saucony one?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't like it.
Whoa.
Wow.
Do not like it.
This is interesting because it suddenly made it way more interesting. Jane, hit us. Why don't you like it?
I've just tried to like it and I find it fits really uncomfortably across the top of my foot. I can't. I feel like it's not got... I don't know. I think because I tried the Endorphin Pro 3 and I was like, oh my God, this is an incredible shoe. And then I put the Speed on and I was like, this is just not... What is this? I just don't like it.
It's not a Jane shoe, is it?
Not a Jane shoe. I feel like it's firm, it's flat, it's uncomfortable. I'm not a fan.
Nick, I'm wondering if we make a badge to put on videos. like Jane Shoe.
Jane
confirmed.
approves.
Jane
Yeah.
Shoe approved. Yeah.
I mean,
Don't
we say
like
we
it.
make it. You're gonna have to make that time.
Yeah, well, I'll have to.
Yeah, and do you know what? I keep going back because I keep thinking I know they're gonna tell me that I'm wrong. So I keep going back and trying to like it, and I just something about it doesn't. I think also it comes up really small. I think maybe if I need a half a size bigger, am I alone in that? Your faces tell me I am.
I find it. I have a narrow foot. I find it's fine. The toe box. It's a bit big, actually, a bit big at the heel. But I do think it's a problem for the speed this year in that I like it a bit less, just because the Pro 3 is so good.
Yeah,
and I do think they could have max stacked the speed as well. And it was
100%.
it was softer than the Pro in the previous versions, and now obviously the Pro is full stack. Big dog. So it is a lot cheaper than the Pro, but it is a bit. It's weird. The speed hasn't really changed in terms of how much I like it. I don't think in terms of the ride. I don't like it as much because it does rub my heel, but I like it less because Saucony released another shoe with it that I like more, which is a very silly way to look at it. But
I wonder if you'd never given me the Pro 3, I'd probably be like, this is okay. But because I've tried the other one first, I'm like, no, it's just not. But then I guess you wouldn't train in the Pro 3, would you? So maybe there is a place for it.
I kind of feel like you could just train the Pro 3. It's that I've done a lot of training in it. I did a 22 mile the other day, and it's a great training shoe. But it's money, isn't it? But then people seem to like spending money on shoes.
I kind of hope that with the Vaporfly and the Alphafly, it takes a long time for those shoes to come down in price. But it seems with like the Saucony shoes, it doesn't take that long. So maybe in like a year's time, people might be able to pick up the Pro 3. Like Pro 2 now, you can get it for like 80 quid now, can't you? I've seen it ridiculously cheap, and it's only a year old. So
it's cheap on Prime Day.
Yeah. So
and other retailers.
Hopefully in a year's time, that'll be. You could pick a few up as your training shoes and not worry about the wearing them down.
A Vaporfly's pretty cheap these days, to be fair. So
finally, yeah.
I also think the problem with it now is like when you pick up a training shoe, like they go, what nearly everyone who would consider the shoe has an old pair of Vaporflies. That is their training shoe.
Yeah. All right. We talked a little about the New Balance Supercomp trainer. Let's do a really quick. Nick, you've done the first run in it, haven't you?
Yeah, you have as well, right? It's super bouncy, super springy. It was exactly what I did. A 30k run on Saturday. A workout session. I had an easy run the next day, and this shoe arrived, and I used it, and it was the perfect timing. Really comfortable, bouncy. The pace is quite good for effort level, that kind of thing. A little bit squiggly. I do like to mess around on my phone in my runs because I like to catch up on messages and stuff like that. Can't do that in the shoe because you need to look where you're putting your feet because otherwise you're going to fall over. But other than that, no real criticisms. Very fun. How about you?
Yeah.
Tom?
And that's Jane approved, and I haven't even run in it. You're telling me.
It will be Jane approved. But I do find that I did really enjoy running it. I just did a progression run in it. I did find it. I went out too wrong. I'm not very good at progression runs, so I went out too fast. So by the end of it, I was really struggling. But I did find that it wasn't. I don't think it was as conducive to running fast as some of the other shoes that I would wear, like the Fuel Cell TC, which is probably my favorite ever carbon plate training shoe. Yeah. I still think that's a bit faster. Feels very similar actually. I actually, when I was wearing the Supercomp, I was surprised at how much midsole foam it had in it because it didn't feel like it was massively different than another shoe that hasn't got that much in it. If you get what I'm saying. It was very comfortable. I really enjoyed it, but it just seems like it's unnecessary to put that much in it.
I kind of think the 2 point I have with it is that one, the TC I think is one of the most underrated shoes ever, and why New Balance didn't make more of an effort to promote that shoe, I never will understand because there was even a point when Ben O'Connor, the New Balance marathon, that used it for like the Olympic trials, and obviously he had access to the RC Elite, but he used the TC Elite, the TC. So it's a fantastic shoe, but yeah, what surprised me about this is like I thought I was going to be a fast training shoe of the carbon plate. This is very squarely a daily training shoe designed for cruising. It's not, it probably can do some speed and tempo work, but it's just amazing to me that they've come out of a shoe that looks like this and it's so expensive. No, this is just to bobbing around in your daily training, and it's like it makes that feel really fun, and it does. But has the market changed that much that you can charge £210 for a shoe just to do that? Maybe. I guess
it seems like it. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's it. So we'll have a first run in that up probably before this podcast goes out, actually. So you'll hear all of our thoughts on that, and Jane will be getting very jealous as she watches that. And then
fuming.
The last product we've got on here, we'll do a quick one of this. Amazfit T-Rex 2. I've got no idea about this, so quick rundown on what this is, Nick.
Well, this is Amazfit, or I always call them Amazfit, which is wrong, I think, are very much Mike's brand. Mike knows all about these, and I don't, dip into their range too much because it's too confusing, and it's literally my living to know about these watches, and they're too confusing for me. But and by the time you finish the review, they've released 4 more. But I think the T-Rex 2 is worth flagging up because it's really cheap. It's like 200 and something low quid. And it's genuinely a very, very good sports watch. It's not that smart, but it's got a nice AMOLED screen. It's got dual band GPS. That's actually good dual band GPS because Huawei do this and their dual band GPS isn't very good. But the Amazfit was matching up very well to an Epix 2 on most of my runs. It's really impressive bit of kit with like quite a rugged build, but a bright screen. I think it will tick a lot of boxes for people. And although it's not a brand that, it's quite a hard brand to get into because they are so confusing. They have too many watches. There's 3 T-Rexes and, there's only 1 T-Rex actual dinosaur. They didn't confuse matters there, did they? With 3 of them. But it's baffling. But it is a really good watch. And when we have the review, listen to Mike mainly because he knows all about all these watches. And I've just tested this one. I thought it was really good. So I thought it was worth flagging up as another cheap option.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be. I always know about Amazfit because of Mike. But this is the first Amazfit watch I've really seen sort of pick up the in the world of social media and stuff. It actually seems to be getting a bit of momentum behind it with people buying it. Mike will be watch out for Mike's coverage of that. Don't listen to us about it. Cool. Okay, let's just finish up with anything we've got coming up on the channel over the next month. So what's coming up over August, Nick?
Your big video, the big running shoe guide is coming. Tom's baby, the massive full list voiceover.
Hold on, you're helping me out on it.
I help like me face it. I'm too busy doing this Alphafly versus Pro video you've got me down for.
Oh yeah, if you could hurry up with that, I'd be much appreciated. Yes, we have the big running shoe guide, which is has around 25 to 30 shoes in it. The best shoes that we, as the run testers, have picked as being the top 3 and other ones worth mentioning. So this will have every road shoe in that we think is worth mentioning at the moment and worth picking up. So as well as that, we've also got your baby, Nick.
Best daily trainers.
Best daily trainers.
I can use this podcast as a vehicle to tell both Tom and Jane to fill out the sheet so we can carry on with that video at some point. New late entrant actually into the conversation, has to be said. But that's coming. That will all pick a one.
I can fill in Jane's for her.
Yeah,
it's going to be easy.
Invincible's banned.
You can just take clips of this out and pop it in.
You all get one veto, and we all pick the Invincible. Weird.
Yeah, that's well.
What?
It's going to be that super comp then, isn't it?
She hasn't got it. Can't.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Look at it, Jane. Look how big it is.
I'm honestly gonna email New Balance right now.
No, I'm sticking Jane down for Bondi X. Done. Cool. So I don't think there's anything else coming up. Is there worth mentioning? There's lots of good stuff coming up, but nothing.
Loads of coming. Yeah, we don't do us down, Tom.
Don't watch anything else. Don't bother.
Lots of reviews coming up, and the usual. We'll get the latest shoes as soon as we can, and other than that, I think if you want to contact us, then email us at team@theruntesters.com. Whether you've got a question or comment about the podcast, or you can find us at The Run Testers on Instagram, where we occasionally update you on the reviews and the shoes that we're currently covering, and on YouTube at The Run Testers, where you can find all of our videos. So thanks a lot for listening or watching, and we'll see you next time. Catch you later, guys.
See ya.
Bye.